Hi there, I'm Scott with B&H, and behind me is an editing and color grading suite featuring two calibrated ASUS ProArt PA278 CFRV displays, and in my hands is the ASUS ProArt StudioBook Pro 16. Now, if you want to know more about the displays, I already made a separate video about them. And this video is about the ProArt StudioBook Pro 16 and how it fits into the post-production station that I'm setting up. So, let's go over some of the specs while I remove my personal PC from the workstation area and hook up the StudioBook Pro. The ASUS ProArt StudioBook Pro 16 comes with an Intel Core i9-13980HX processor, which has 8 performance cores and 16 efficiency cores for 24 cores total and 32 threads. It has 36 megabytes of cache and runs at 2.2 GHz by default and up to 5.6 GHz with Turbo Boost. There are 3 NVIDIA-based GPU options. Our review model has come equipped with the studio-oriented RTX 3000 Ada, which supports 8 GB of GDDR6 memory. There is also a mux switch to give control over when the machine uses the discrete GPU or the iGPU, which really helps a lot with the efficiency and battery life. Our review model also came with 64 GB of DDR5 RAM, but a 16 GB and 32 GB configuration are also available. This review model also has a 2 TB M2 NVMe PCIe 4.0 SSD, but the StudioBook Pro 16 is capable of up to 8 TB of internal storage. There is also a full HD camera with IR capabilities for Windows Hello facial recognition. The built-in 4-way speakers are Harman Kardon certified and support Dolby Atmos. Moving from internal specs to the external form factor, the ASUS ProArt StudioBook Pro 16 measures in at 14.02 inches by 10.67 inches by 0.82 inches and weighs 5.29 pounds. It is certified to meet the US military 810-8 standard, which are a series of durability tests that I am not allowed to run review models through for confirmation, but I can attest the laptop feels very sturdy with plenty of attention paid to build quality. I wound up bringing it on a couple of shoots and it performed very well as a portable station. We used it when testing some PTZ cameras, and I brought it on Peter's GH7 shoot for media management and confidence checks for the color workflow. Both times the StudioBook Pro performed admirably without a hitch. It even comes with a nice carrying backpack. Also included is a stylus for the touchscreen and trackpad. Styluses are not really my preferred pointer device, so I didn't use it very much, and this is by far the part of the package that I am least qualified to talk about. But it does work, and felt responsive, especially on the trackpad. Like the rest of the body, the keyboard has good feel to it, and there is intentionality and quality to its design. As I've said in a few previous videos, keyboard preferences are subjective, but the tactile experience was very much to my taste with nice travel distance and comfortable switches. I mostly used an external keyboard when working at this desk for the edit, but I did use the built-in keyboard more extensively in the field and while addressing notes in the office. You'll notice that the configuration is a little off from the norm, with the trackpad being centered to the full keyboard layout instead of under the spacebar. There is also the ASUS Dial, which is a distinguishing feature of the laptop that I'll cover in more detail in a moment. In relation to the keyboard, I was worried that it would interfere with my typing, but I adjusted way faster than I would have expected, and it quickly wound up being a non-issue for me personally. The dial placement gave me far less trouble than my muscle memory of switching between Adobe and DaVinci shortcut layouts and moving between my Mac, Windows, and Linux devices in my professional and personal life, which is always a struggle, but not the fault of the StudioBook Pro. Also, there's a number pad. I love a number pad. Now, let's go ahead and talk about that ASUS Dial. It is definitely one of the most readily apparent, unique features of the ProArt StudioBook Pro 16. I've only had the laptop for a certain amount of time, but if I was using it more regularly in portable work, I could really see it becoming a more natural part of my workflow. It's compatible with a ton of creative apps, Office apps, and media players, including much of the Adobe Suite, DaVinci Resolve, and Microsoft Office software. While there are default configurations, you can also customize them through the ASUS Dial and Control Panel and add configurations for some apps that aren't natively supported. Along with the ASUS Dial and Control Panel, there are a few other ASUS apps that come pre-installed: the ProArt Creator Hub and the My ASUS app. The ProArt Creator Hub gives a nice amount of control for color settings, calibration, resource monitoring, and management, and things of that nature. The My ASUS app links ASUS devices to one account and also gives control to system preferences and diagnostic tools. Overall, I really like that ASUS has all these functionalities built in and in their own control apps. I find them easier to navigate than a lot of the default Windows 11 settings and control panel pages, and I also feel like they have more robust control and highlight a lot of the functionality that ASUS has added into the devices. That said, I really wish that they were consolidated into one app, and it would have been really convenient if they had already been pinned to the taskbar by default when I set up the device. Since I'm integrating this into a full workstation setup, it's important to talk about ports and connectivity. There are 2 USB-C ports with Thunderbolt 4 support, DisplayPort support, and power delivery, 2 USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 ports, a 3.5mm audio jack, and an SD Express 7.0 card reader, which is a great addition for on-set media management. There's DCI power in, 1 HDMI 2.1 port, and a gigabit Ethernet port, which is something that I always love to see. There's also wireless connectivity through Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. Finally, we're on to what is very arguably the main event, the display. The ProArt StudioBook Pro 16 has a glossy 3.2 HDR OLED display with touchscreen capabilities. It's a visual treat with a 120Hz refresh rate, a peak HDR brightness of 550 nits, a contrast ratio of 1,000,000 to 1, and 10-bit color rendition. And because it's part of the ProArt line, the colors are beautiful and accurate. This display is Pantone validated and Kalman certified to have a delta E value of less than 1, and it has 100% DCI-P3 coverage. It's a really great display. And if you watched the previous video covering the ProArt PA278 CFRV monitors, you'll notice that it even outshines them in most regards. The PA278 CFRV monitors do have the bigger screen, and while screen texture is a subjective taste, the anti-glare, less reflective screen does tend to lend itself better to bright environments like offices. Although I guess in that case the StudioBook display does literally outshine the monitors. Anyways, after briefly weighing the pros and cons, both monitors wound up acting as the UI workspace while the StudioBook Pro 16 display was used as a reference monitor. So, this was the post-production station that I came up with and used for the edit and initial color pass for Peter's GH7 RA Log C3 demo. It was fun to put together and fun to use. The laptop handled the footage with 0 hiccups or problems, even though I forgoed my usual insistence on using proxies. The fans did get decently audible at times during the edit and color grade, but the laptop never became hot to the touch. It was nifty to have the computer, reference monitors, and work monitors all be from the same company, and with included software that helped control color management and calibration for all of the displays. It was extra nifty to have all of said displays be certified factory calibrated out of the box. And as somebody who mostly sticks to working off of desktops, I'll admit that it was nice to have a powerful machine that I could take onto sets and bring into the office to address notes. Additionally, because the laptop display is so finely calibrated, adjustments to the color grade could easily happen in office while maintaining confidence in the result. That said, the glossiness of the screen was sometimes a hindrance, as was the limited brightness inherent with OLED technology. Overall, I enjoyed my time with the ASUS ProArt environment. Having monitors that matched the laptop display was nice and made for a cohesive experience, especially since they were all calibrated. I liked doing the preliminary work in a controlled environment, and the portability of the laptop made it easy to do the more collaborative aspects on set and in the office. This is definitely a laptop aimed at creatives and is easy to recommend to anyone looking for a Windows-based portable station. I'm Scott with B&H. Keep it fun out there, y'all.